everyone, and welcome to my craft room. Today I am a part of a video hop with Team Tiny. We are a group of crafters who still have newbie channels and working on growing our subscriber base. So thank you so much for taking time to follow along and hop through all these videos. This month we are featuring awesome Christmas sets from Joy Clair Designs. I am using Snowy Greetings and I created this super cute snowman card. Look how adorable this little group of snowmen are. I use my MINC. As you could tell, everything is super shiny, and I'm so excited to share with you how I made this card. Thanks again for joining, and I hope you have a great day. Because I'm using digital stamps, I'm gonna start by creating my card on my computer. I'm creating a card base that's going to be larger than what I'm actually going to cut. That way my image will fill up the entire piece of my background. I want to use the flurry of snowflakes, so I'm cropping the image so that it fits on that card base rectangle that I made. This is my favorite thing about digital stamps. I love that I can manipulate them to fit exactly what I need. I can make them bigger, I can make them smaller, I can flip the image, rotate it, I can overlay without having to mask. It really is nice. Next, I'm determining how big I want to make my snowmen. They are going to be the focal point of my card, so I want them large, but still small enough to see the background. I'm not really sure what kind of details I want, so I'm playing around with the different images to determine what extras I want to print out. I decide upon the 5 snowflakes that are by themselves, and I'm going to print those out as well. Next, I need to settle on a sentiment. I decide on snowman kisses because, well, the snowmen are the feature of the card. I size it on my background for approximately how big I want to make it and print it out. I decide later that it was a little too large, so I shrunk it down and printed out another version of the sentiment. Now that my background is printed, I am going to use this really cute die from Sunny Studio. It comes with 2 pieces, but I'm just using the border die. I'm going to distress the background with Distress inks. I'm using Speckled Egg and Chipped Sapphire. The blue brush is a recent purchase from Amazon. I bought a set of 5 brushes in different colors, and the other one is a Picket Fence Studio. I start with the speckled egg and distress the edges in the darker blue, and then go back with the speckled egg to help even out the line in between the 2 colors. Once I'm happy with the way it looks, I'm using Lawn Fawn's liquid Stardust to sprinkle onto the background of my card. I also spritz it with water, not being too heavy-handed as this is not watercolor paper, and dry off the remaining water. I love how liquid Stardust gives such a great sparkle to my card. I'm also going to take my cloth and rub off ink over the snowflakes as I plan to foil this later. Now that my background is done and I'm waiting for it to fully dry, I'm going to color my snowmen. I don't usually show my coloring in the videos. I don't think I am an expert colorer. But I have noticed that a lot of people in some of my Facebook groups are looking for options other than Copics. I have used my ProMarkers for years now when they were still owned by Letraset. They are a nib and not a brush, so I know some people prefer brush coloring. And they are not refillable, but honestly I've had them for so long and have never had any issues. I'm not really sure it's worth the money for refillable for me. So here is how I color it with my ProMarkers. For the white of the hats, I used a brownish gray and used the colorless blender to spread out that color. For the hats and scarves, I'm using 1 lighter blue color and 1 darker blue color. The darker blue is the shadow, and I'm using the lighter blue to spread out that color. The definite downside to ProMarker versus Copic or some other colors that group their colors by family is that I kind of have to guess and play around to see what colors blend together. It's not that big of a deal, but if you are very particular about it, I'm not sure these markers are the right way to go for you, but they are a cheaper option in case you need something other than Copic. I color in all the scarves with the same color combination. And the sweater, I'm going to color just the dark blue and add a little bit of shading in spots where I think would be covered, like by the scarf or by the edges of the snowmen. Next, I decide that I kind of want more of a turquoise greenish blue in the card to match that speckled egg. The original colors I picked are very pretty, but it doesn't really match that speckled egg as well as I want. So I'm filling in the rest of the sweater with that color and using the same dark blue to add shadow. Overall, I'm really happy with how it turned out. I don't expect my coloring to be perfect, but I am happy with how everything blended together. I also use my colorless blender if I accidentally color outside the line to try and pick up that color before it settles and dries into the paper. I also use orange on my snowmen to color those noses as they are carrots. And I wasn't going to color in the arms, but I realized that it would look really strange as I did leave it white. So I find a good brown and color in those twig arms. I'm pretty happy with how it turned out, and I think it matched the background of my card really well to make this a monochromatic blue. Now I'm going to run all my images through my scan and cut. I put on my sentiment and realized that that was not going to cut how I wanted, so I will fussy cut that later. My scan and cut did cut out all my snowflakes and my snowmen. Next is foiling. I'm really excited about this. I'm doing it on my background, my sentiment, and my snowflakes. I love how shimmery they turn out, especially in my background. I love that I can distress and foil using digital stamps. Now I'm working on my layout and I'm gonna fussy cut my sentiment out. I love using really small scissors and maneuvering my paper to do my fussy cutting. To make the snow for my snowmen to sit on in my card, I'm going to use this really puffy cloud die to make snowbank behind the snowmen. I'm using the sparkle cardstock from Fawn, but I'm also really picky and don't want to waste, so I like to measure exactly where I need to cut, and I cut it out using that same border die. Now I'm figuring out where I want to lay my puffy cloud die to create a snowbank. It's okay that one of those snowbanks is flat because it's going to hide behind the snowmen. The sparkle paper seemed a bit much, so I wanted to overlay some white in front of it. So I line up my pieces, adjusting the white paper one scallop half circle down and run it through the cutter with the die in the same position. I glue the sparkle paper directly to my background and I'm gluing the white paper directly on top of the sparkle cardstock. Next, I'm going to add white lines and dot accents using my white gel pen to my snowmen. I put it in various spots where I think light would be hitting the different parts of the snowmen. The hat, their nose, the scarf, and their sweater. The snowmen already have a lot of white because they're made of snow, so I didn't want to go too crazy with my highlighting. Next, I'm using my Wink of Stella in clear to add glitter to the white parts of the hat. It's a little hard to see the shimmer, but I think it adds just this cute touch to the snowman. I also realized I forgot to use my soft peach to add cheeks, so I add that real quick along with a little bit of white gel highlight. Now that my snowmen are done, I'm going to pop them up using dimensionals. I cut the smallest dimensional as tiny as I could to fit behind those cute little twig hands. I remove the backing and place it in the center of my card towards the bottom so they're sitting on the snowbank and those snowflakes show up behind them. I also pop up my sentiment and center it above the snowman's head onto the card base. Next, I decide to layer the snowflakes in various spots behind the snowmen. They were still white, and I thought about distressing them to match the background, but I thought it'd be more fun just to leave them as little highlights behind the snowmen. I trim a few of them down as well because I already have dimensionals behind the snowmen and need to shove those little snowflakes behind. I put them in various spots and I really like how it adds just a little bit more behind the snowmen. I love how my card is turning out so far and all that fun shimmer from the silver foiling. Next, I find a piece of navy cardstock from my stash, and I'm gonna pop it up using foam tape onto my card base. I'm centering it as well as I can onto that A2 card front. I decided that I still want a little bit more on the card as far as embellishments, so I had this little bag of clear embellishments mixed with black left over from a kit. I pull them out and start applying, but I was having trouble with the one I started to glue on the right, and I made the mistake of picking up my card and all of my sequins fell on the floor, except for those two you can see in the video. They're clear, and I was making this at night, and there was just no way of finding those sequins. I tried. I looked for a good 10 minutes. So I pulled out some sequins I had from my stash and found a blue that matched really well with a distressed background. So I've got 2 clear sequins and 3 blue sequins around the snowmen. I would have preferred all clear, but it was still really cute and still added a little bit to the card. Those blue sequins are pretty transparent, so it still has that effect I was going for. Here's a close-up so you can see all that fun shimmer. I also printed out an inside message for my card. I used the sentiment, "I love you snow much," and used that cute little snow mound with the snowballs inside of it. I hope you like this card, and I thank you so much for taking the time to hop along and watch it. Don't forget to click on the hashtag and watch everyone else's awesome videos, and hit subscribe if you enjoyed what you saw. Thank you again for watching and have a great day.